Very good morning. In this practical, I'm going to show you how to configure VPC peering connection between two different VPCs. Before we go into the demonstration, let's have a small introduction about VPC peering. VPC peering is a network connection between two VPCs where you can able to communicate between two VPCs with a public IPv4 address. Usually, you cannot able to communicate directly with the VPC A as well as VPC B with a private IP address. So this is possible with the VPC peering, and these are all some restrictions for VPC peering. So that is, there is no overlapping between two VPCs for the IP address, and both the owners of the VPC should confirm the peering request so that you can able to transmit any data between the VPCs, and the two VPCs may be in the same region or maybe in the different region. And here the restriction is that you cannot able to share the security groups. And in addition to that, in the VPC peering, while creating VPC, subnet and internet gateway are major part. Subnet means which will allow you to partition your network inside your VPC. There are two types of subnet, public and private subnet. Routing table means which will determine how your network traffic will be transmitted between your VPC as well as subnets. And internet gateway means it will act as an interface between your public subnet as well as the internet. So now this is the demo we are going to perform. This is the task I am going to perform. That is, I need two VPCs. One VPC which we already have, that is 172.31.0.0/16. This is the default VPC which is available in your machine. I'm going to take those VPC as the acceptor, and I'm going to create a new VPC called VPC1, that is 192.168.0.0/16. After creation of the VPC, the Linux machine to be launched and those machine to be attached with VPC1 as well as VPC2. Whereas the newly created VPC or the machine is considered as requester, and the default one which is called as acceptor. Finally, I'm going to pass the private IP address of the newly created one with acceptor. Let's see whether it is communicating or not. And these are the steps to be followed. First thing, I want to create a VPC, then configure the subnet, then gateway, then routing table, and the subnet associations. And I should launch the EC2 instance with the following configuration, whereas the machine name, AMI type, instant type is t2.micro, keeper not required, and you have to first do it with the custom VPC. Later you have to do the same for the default VPC also. And this is the testing phase. For the testing, what you should do is, first thing, you have to take a Linux machine 2 and ping it with the public IPv4 address of the machine 1. Then if it is traffic passing, then okay. Usually for the private IP address, it won't pass any responses. That is the issue. So that what you need to do is, we need to configure the IP address and the peering connection. So that is to be done at the last step. Let's go into the demonstration as per this diagram. And you could see that I already said VPC1 already exists. That is 172.31.0.0/16, which is already available by default. Let's see. First, all of you can take your AWS Management Console and check your VPCs. In all the region, there is one default VPC available. Go to your VPC and check it out. This is a default VPC with the IP range 172.31.0.0/16. For this VPC, already subnet is defined and routing table is configured, whereas internet gateway also there. So one set is completely ready. You need to prepare another set. That is our newly created VPC as 192.168.0.0/16. Let's do it. So click on create VPC, and this VPC is the test VPC. I am taking this as a test VPC with the IP ranges 192.168.0.0/16. That's it. Just simply create a VPC. Now VPC gets created. Go to the subnets now. Click on create subnet. Select your VPC and you can give the subnet name. I'm keeping it as public subnet. Then this IPv4 already defined, that is 192.168.0.0/16. It is the VPC IP address. Now you have to define the subnet address, that is also much similar, 192.168. This time 1.0/24. Now you can create the subnet also. Subnet is created. Now before doing routing table, must do the internet gateway. Go to this internet gateway and create a new internet gateway. I'm just keeping it as test IGW. IGW stands for internet gateway. Now create the internet gateway. Now immediately attach with the VPC. Select your test VPC and attach it. Now the next thing is routing table. Click on this routing table, and already there is a routing table available, which is for a default routing table. Now I need to create our own routing table. So here also I am just making it as public RT for the routing table. Select your test VPC, create a routing table. Once the routing table gets created, you can able to see that there is a destination 192.168.0.0/16. Now you just click on this edit routes and you need to add a route, that is you just give all traffic enable. So 0.0.0/0, the target is internet gateway. Click on internet gateway and select our gateway as the test gateway. That's it. Now save the changes. This is under routes. Now you see that both were active. Now go to subnet association. Now you see that subnet association without explicit association. So now what I should do is I should keep it as a explicit subnet association. So click on this edit subnet association, choose the public subnet and save changes. So now our VPC configuration, everything is perfect. So now what I should do is I should create two instances. One instance, as I already said, the Linux 1 machine to be attached with the newly created VPC, Linux 2 machine to be attached with the default VPC. That is the only difference. So let's go into the EC2 instance launch. Simply go to EC2 instances and click on this instance. Now launch the instance where you can keep the name as machine 1. So as usual, the image should be free tier. So I'm taking the Linux machine, free tier version. So instance type by default it is t2.micro, let it be. Key pair is not required, you just proceed without key pair. So here only there is a change, that is you have to attach with the machine 1 to be attached with the newly created VPC. That is our test VPC. So simply edit it and select our test VPC. Subnet is only one subnet we created, so it is taken automatically. Now enable this public auto assign public IP and security group. What you can do the security group is it's better to have all traffic. So I'm just making it as all traffic. So no problem, you just keep it as all traffic. So whatever the security group no name by default it is coming, you just keep as such. I am keeping it as launch wizard 2, you just keep it as same. And source type as anywhere, nothing, no problem. And the configuration storage is 8 GB. So no need to add anything in the advanced details, simply launch the instance. So now one EC2 instance we have done. Similarly, you have to do it for other instance also. Just see that this instance is the machine 1. Machine 1 means which is attached with our own VPC. Now launch another machine. So this time it is machine 2. Take a Linux machine. Now instance type is t2.micro. Keeper is not required. And the network setting, you just keep a default VPC. Actually, this is the default VPC. You let it be. Only thing is that you need to select the security groups. Security group, I already in the previous EC2 instance, I already have the security group. So you can use the same security group, that is launch wizard 2. I think so. Otherwise, no problem. You can create a new security group by allowing HTTP as well as HTTPS. You can choose HTTPS as well as HTTP. Configuration storage is 8 GB and no need to keep anything in the advanced details. Simply launch the instance. So now there are two instances were created. One instance with the machine 1 with the newly created test VPC and the machine 2 with the default VPC. So let's wait for some time to complete this status check. So okay, we will continue the next step. So now what I should do is we need to peer two VPCs as I already said. So what you should do is go to the previous tab, that is VPC. There is something called a peering connection. You can see something called peering connection. Let's see. This one. So under the VPC virtual private cloud, the last option is peering connection. Take this peering connection option and create a new peering connection. Whereas you have to keep the peering connection name. I just make it as test peering, and the requester is, as I already said, requester is our newly created. So that is test is a requester and acceptor is the default one. Once I'm repeating, so that is after keeping the test peering, then the requester should be the newly created one, and the acceptor should be the default one. So now we both the VPCs under same region only. So I'm selecting the option is my account, and the region is same US East to 1, that is North Virginia region. That's it. You just create a peering connection. So that's our peering connection now gets created. You can see that once you go once the peering connection gets created, click on the peering connection, go to this action and accept this request. Why you should accept mean, in this case both requester as well as the acceptor both under my account only, so I'm just manually accepting this request. So that's it. Now peering connection successfully done. Let's check with the EC2 instances now. What I told you is you have to open the machine. Which machine you have to open? You have to open the machine called Linux machine 2. Linux machine 2 just to open. Click on the Linux machine 2. Try to connect it with the EC2 instance connect. Okay, so now it is perfect. Now what I should do is I have to check it with the machine 1 IP address. Now go to this instance, take a machine 1 IP address. Click on it and first take the public IPv4 address just to check it out. Ping followed by public IPv4 address of machine 1. Enter. Now it is communicating. I already told you public IPv4 address not an issue. So let's take an example of private IPv4 address. Take the private IPv4 address. Now try to communicate. Ping followed by this IP address and enter. You see that there is no traffic is distributing. There is no traffic passing. So let it be. This I already told you there is a issue in the routing table. So what I should do is I need to do some modification in the routing table. So directly you do not want to close this. Directly go to your VPCs. Take a routing table. So you have to do the modification both the routing tables. So default routing table as well as your routing table. First one, let's do the same with the default routing table. Actually, there are two tables are available. I'll take the first routing table. Now you could see that here all traffic enabled, then 172.31. So what is missing is the IP address of the new VPC is missing. So just to click on this edit routes, click on this add route. So keep the IP address, that is 192.168.0.0/16. It's fine. Now the target is not an internet gateway, this time peering connection. Now come down, there is a peering connection is there. Click and take this peering connection and save changes. Again go to the routing table. Now default route is completed. Now you have to do it for your newly created routing table. That is, click on it. Again you see that here the new VPC exists, but the default VPC's IP address is not exist. So click on this edit routes, add a route 172.31.0.0/16. Then here also peering connection. Select the test peering option and save changes. That's it. Nothing to do. Simply come to this tab and you can see that now it is start transmitting the data. The meaning for this transmission is that now VPC A and VPC B, which mean default VPC as well as test VPC is successfully connecting. Now it can able to transmit any data between the VPCs. Thank you. This is the end of the practical. Thank you.